America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. And this is episode something, and I'll find out here in a minute when I open it up. Episode 1259. So we're going to have a couple more episodes, and then we'll be in the 1300s. So, in the description of the videos, we post some stuff that is worth watching. And let's see what we got today. Clover just had his studio chat earlier today. They were wrong, but they do it on Thursdays. I don't know if he'll jump in tonight or not. We did post the link out there, so there's already some people backstage in the green room. So we'll throw another link out there. Unlike a lot of your daytime, quote-unquote, gun chats, we don't fear real conversation, and we're not scripted. So you can jump in, and until you're brought up into this chat, feel free to enjoy any of the drinks and snacks back there. So Clover had a chat. We'll see if he shows up tonight. If any of those people from that chat show up, they talked about stuff going on in the future, but they were pretty much all wrong. Let's see. We have the armed protest or false flag trap. Okay, so this one was from the Minnesota Gun Owners, Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. And yeah, it looks like we got definitely a false flag situation happening. And it'd be interesting to see what happens here in a few days. So there's videos out there from different channels. I've heard of others, but I've only seen like 2 so far. And then we have Walt. Everybody's a fan of Walt. And he posted a video on his channel earlier today about why he's willing to work for the left. And pretty decent video. Had a couple of good points in there that I think what I'm going to end up doing is listening to Walt's videos, because they're not most of them aren't very long. And I'll just listen to them like a playlist. Actually, I'll probably put a playlist up on the channel with a bunch of his videos, and then I'll go through on Minuteman University and add a bunch of elements from his videos. I've already been doing that, but I don't want to miss stuff, so I'm probably going to just make a playlist so that I hit a bunch of videos and don't double them or miss any, and add all that, or add them in, and maybe with him put them in some order. Let's see. Then we got Bob's video about rednecks. I finally watched that one from the other day. How's my nose running? I have to blow my nose in a second. Runaway campers. So there was something on the Florida Carries channel about this. I guess what it is the Florida Open Carry event that they have each year. It's their 4th annual one. At least the 4th annual one in this location, I think. They're going to have, portion of it is the camping portion, and then for whatever reasons they're also going to have the speeches or the talks or whatever at a different location. And this was talking about that, I believe, but I wasn't really listening to it well enough, obviously. But anyway, there's a link to it. You can get more information if you're in Florida and go on to that. It's coming up in March. Let's see. Then we had Crump doing his Fireside chat today, number 165. You'd think after you mute the first one, it would just mute all of them for you. Healthy amount of video or ads up in front of these videos. They don't always have ads in front of them, especially gun ones, especially not during election time. So that's interesting. Maybe they know that something's up. Anyway, so Crump had one up, or had a video. His interview was with some guy named Richard Lyons, I'd never heard of, author of DNA of Democracy. They actually had some pretty interesting chats about potentialities and that kind of thing with everything that's going on right now. Let's see. I did a van update, posted that at least. We can watch that perhaps. It's 7 minutes long. Van awesomeness. Basically, I was out there plugging in some LED bulbs instead of the regular bulbs. I have to go out there now during the dark and see what they look like. They weren't all that amazing during the day, but regular bulbs aren't either. So, actually, if enough people show up in here and start blabbing, I probably will go out there and look and see if they're any good. What else we got? We have Putting Stars in a Box. Who's this? Foss, not Foos, but Foss. He doesn't watch this show. But that dude has another channel where he does stuff, and he put a galaxy into a box. Looked like something you'd see out of what's the name of that show? Men in Black. Something out of like that movie. It's pretty cool. And as I told him, I gave me some ideas. I've got some boxes. I've been thinking about what to do with them. Let's see. Then we had some guy out of California who's like the anti-Walt, right? Who's over there complaining that Vimeo kicked him off. So like, hey, welcome to getting kicked off of Vimeo. I guess he got kicked off of Vimeo even though he's paying for it. Although I got kicked off of Vimeo after paying for it like 3 years ago. So we used to use Vimeo. We had an account on Vimeo for gun channels. And we would post like gun channels commercials, basically gun channels little videos or whatever. And I just posted them over there because why not? We didn't have what Mike is trying to do with GunTube. That's expensive. Vimeo is something like $60 a month or something, or $60 a year even. It wasn't that much. So it was $60 a year, I think. But yeah, they just decided at some point, oh, this is gun stuff. Leave. And I think what they did to us is kept the $60. That's what pissed me off, is that they kicked us off like $30 into it and kept it. That was pretty fucked, I thought. So anyway, this guy's over there with 1.8 thousand views, almost 2,000 views, probably a day into his video. And all he's doing is complaining about something that happens to everybody on a platform, and it just happened to him like a year or two later than a lot of other people. So anyway, instead of complaining about something else or motivating people about something, he's complaining about that. What are you going to do? That's just indication, whatever. So then we got the Daily Gun Truck from the other day, yesterday, and then I put a link here to the votes. So we had a shorter show yesterday for reasons, and we picked a bunch of movies, or y'all picked a bunch of movies, and then those movies were voted on. All right. So is this still live or is this not still live? We'll have to wait and find out if anybody's still out there. So that's what happens when that was the antis. The antis got me. Panic. Panic. All right, where were we at? We were over here looking. Oh, that was because we were about to. No, wireless mic battery. No. Is this working? Do you have audio? Do we have audio? Over. All right. So it's probably because we were about to talk about something real. And a lot of times those daytime chats that are scripted and hide behind their programming, they can't handle that. So they probably cried to their YouTube. And then what happened is they pulled the plug on me. But you know what? I hacked right back hacked the planet right back in, and we're back here again. So now I'm going to try this again. Screen share. See if this happens again. See that? That's how you hack the planet. Boom. So now we're looking at the Patreon. So originally what happened was this. You guys, well, not you people, because one of them was a girl. So you people picked a bunch of movies yesterday. You had a chance to pick one movie. What was that noise? You have a chance to pick one movie, and then I was going to pick 10, and then we shoved them over to Patreon to judge your movie picking. So Barbecue picked Tombstone, Woods picked John Wick, Erstwhile picked Lord of War. I don't know if y'all remember this. This is just like yesterday. DJ, I don't know who the hell, he picked Blade Runner. Then Angelina picked Terminator. Deadhorse picked Heat. Pink picked Equilibrium. Crump came out of nowhere and picked Sicario. And then RollCall right at the very last minute picked Good, Bad, the Ugly. So I thought that was a pretty decent list for the most part. And then we took it over to Patreon, and boom, this is what the results are. So looks like Woods is picking a patch, basically, because Wick blew it out of the ballpark. Back in the day, Heat would have won this without even trying hard. Before that, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly would have probably won it. But in this case, John Wick, then Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and then Heat, and then Lord of War, which is surprising. I wouldn't have thought Lord of War. I mean, I would have picked Lord of War perhaps, but I wouldn't have thought that one in the big picture would have won. Boom. So yeah, we've got that happening, and and then we got the newsletter. So I just posted over on the Patreon about the newsletter. We just sent out the newsletters, and we're going to be amping up the newsletters. Got all kinds of craziness about to be happening in the world, and I think having another medium, another method of communication is going to be wise. So those that are interested, check it out over on the Patreon or on the YouTube, I guess. We have the membership thing here, or on, what do we have? What's the other thing called? Yeah, there's another one out there that I forget. But we'll be pursuing those so that we can keep in touch with people, as I suspect we're going to have some issues with the norm, with what we used to do. So that's the stuff that's in the description here. We'll see if anybody's showing up today to chat. We started throwing the link out before we even went live. Deadhorse is out there. I don't know if he's still out there or not. Woods jumped in. DJ's out there. He jumped in. Barbecue also jumped in. And Deadhorse is still out there, perhaps. Angelina may be out there. And Makojo hanging out tonight. And if anybody else shows up, we'll click on your name and it'll show up on the screen using the power of the duck. Otherwise, you can use the power of your clicking devices by clicking on this link that I'm dropping in the thing right now. And then when you click on that, you come in here just like DJ did, I think, first, and then Woods, and then Barbecue. And then we'll take that out of there. And I've been running this show by myself, doing all the work for the last few days, so now it's everybody else's chance. Where are we going? We had a whole bunch of stuff we could be talking about, or you could bring topics from other things, or go. Page 2 of the script. Go.
I liked listening to that the story of that guy with the Florida carry and how he kind of fell into his business of making campers. That he was just kind of fucking around one day and he just built one out of scrap material he had, and somebody called him and said, "Hey, I want that." And then he started building more of them, and now he's taken that money and he's made a good business, and now he's sponsoring something that he believes in. There's a little bit of luck sometimes in life. And I kind of think, did any of you guys get to catch any part of that? I didn't watch the whole thing. I just kind of skipped through it, but I liked what I heard.
Yeah, I did too.
I was doing laundry or something, so I kept walking in and out. And so I didn't get that part of it or whatever. I was trying to hear more. I couldn't figure out if it was about the event that's the open carry event, or if the open carry event got split and this is part of it, or if this is something adjacent to it, or if this is something totally different. Since I couldn't tell from the description or the title and they didn't say it right off the bat, that's what I was listening for. So I was sort of listening around all the stuff you're talking about as I was doing other things. So I got to go back and listen to it for that content now.
And then forgive me if I'm wrong, Florida is that one where they've got that weird law that you can carry if you're on the way to hunting or camping, right? That's why they do the camping. Anybody? Bueller?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, exactly. So they can do the open carry part where they're camping or fishing or something. But then whenever they go over to listen to a talk, like a speaker or something, like a rally part, they got to not be open carrying because that's not fishing anymore. So, yeah, it's weird. And that's what they're doing it for, is to get awareness so that they can move on beyond that.
You would think that the government of Florida would have bigger fish to fry than worrying about whether people are carrying or not. All kind of crazy things happen there. We have a thing in our rock radio and it's Nanny Bonaducci from the Partridge Family. They literally have something's wrong in Florida story of the day.
Yeah, and there is that gators thing too.
And then people that are going camping, I'm woods. I've been camping my whole life. It's my favorite thing on earth. Camping where there's things that will try to eat you? No.
Right. The bayou is definitely mandatory carry space.
I mean, I guess we have bears, but bears in Washington are all way up by the Canada border. The ones down here are just like big raccoons. Let's see, what was the other thing? What's the next topic we want to talk about? DJ, what's on the list? Which one do you want to hit?
Wow, stuff that I watched today, or just take a run something.
Yeah, whatever you want. I mean, there's like the list in the description, our homework and whatnot that we affectionately call it.
Oh man, I didn't check that out. But as far as what I was checking out today, I was trying to catch up on some stuff because I had a great conversation going to the wee hours of the morning, and so that had me facing a pretty tall order. And I just backtracked to last night's show, which was a really good time. And from there, I spawned off, hit some of my regular subscriptions that aren't necessarily 2A, but a couple of things that I got into just tonight late were Clover's chat, talking about content production, and some of that stuff was really good to hear.
I'm interested, because we talked about it, I'm relating it to the Foss video. Like, we all love Foss, and he's got his gun stuff, and then he has this other channel where he does completely other stuff. I think that's super valuable. I think that's a really, really great idea. That you're into fully, and you've got other stuff like that makes you more rounded, and you might even come up with some 2A ideas that aren't that. Like, one of the ones I follow, I forgot what it's called. It's called like Dad's Work, and it's literally just this guy that started filming videos that does things like change a tire. This is how you put a belt on a washing machine when it breaks, because so many kids nowadays grow up with no dad. So he's trying to fill that void a little as much as he can. And I watch it. I love it. I know how to do most of the stuff, but there's one once in a while I'm like, oh, that's how you do that. Cool.
Like, before those kids go out, they like watch one of the videos and they'll be like, be home at 9. And then they'll watch the video and they'll be like, what about 9:30? And they'll be like, was your homework done? And they'll be like, yeah. And then they'll be like, all right, 9:30.
They must have a video about, that shows a street light turning on.
Yeah, I had that rule. So I also caught the John Crump's Fireside chat, the Richard Lyons chat, and
what was that?
All right.
I didn't see that one.
And then also Walt. Walt had one that dropped this afternoon. Talking about why a willingness to work with leftists and not equating necessarily left with just being democratic, and the more radical approaches perhaps on the left were something that there are compromises that he and others were willing to make in order to strengthen the reserves and bring more people on board and focus on the real, redirect the attention to the real tasks at hand rather than separation.
Well, it reinforces that idea of, sorry to interrupt, it reinforces that idea that 2A is for everyone, not just people that agree with us.
Right. And like my big thing last, all of 2020 was, guys, the 2A is nonpartisan. So I didn't seem to communicate incredibly well in all quarters, however.
That's not going to matter at all going forward, though. Going forward, it's not going to be a fair narrative that we can have a discussion with ourselves on the nuances. It'll be, if you like guns, you are no longer welcome, no longer legal, no longer able. We're all going to be equally, we're going to be dealt with equally.
We're all going to be in the chastised group, even the...
Right.
And so John Richardson, who is often part of the team broadcast on Fridays for Second Amendment Foundation, was the guest for the 15 minutes afforded, or maybe 20 minutes some days today. And I had difficulty, 3 out of the 4 days this week with that broadcast because of tech issues with those content creators, overdriving mics and making it fairly unlistenable, even at distance and on external speakers, was just a real fight. Did anybody else happen to catch that?
That problem's been ongoing with them, right?
Yeah, I've been noticing it.
Yeah. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I did comment on it, and I even made the suggestion, I think last week, that they just go ahead and do. I mean, it's 15 minutes, it's pre-recorded. Just do a second take, and also made the suggestion.
Like, listen to it before you upload it, especially when you know it's happening show after show already.
Yeah, I just don't really, it's absolutely out of my experience that people who are wearing headphones and having a conversation live to tape cannot hear that. That's just, it's uncanny. But
is Paul actually wearing headphones?
They're not pros. They're not pros.
Yeah,
They're not going from radio to computer. They're just doing it from, let's try doing it, to, okay, this did it. We're not, I mean, they're like me. They're not. And I don't even think they're like, I think they are like me. They didn't even hardly look into the tech or the equipment or anything. They just got it to work and then ran with it.
Yeah. Well, better to take those baby steps, and stumble every once in a while. But, there have been solid suggestions made from people with, perhaps some of us with, a lot more experience with broadcasting and with audio issues.
Baby steps, okay, fine. But that would have been like in 2016 when they started doing the gun rights policy conference and taking the mantle and taking all the what's it called, the accolades for being the people that podcasted live. Well, all right, like if you're going to take all the credit, right, and get a job with the SAF for being their audio people, then yeah, if you don't know how to do it, go find out how to do it, or get people who know how to do it to tell you, right? So I'm with you, but on the same time, man, they should have had that shit figured out a long time ago, because we're about to hit their tomorrow. It's going to be their Friday show, and it's going to be tough to listen to. I listened to it last week, and I think I got too far because I was like, they were sitting there talking about shooting the shit. I talked about it last week on this show. They did their Friday show, which is their summary, not the pre-recorded shows that he does like a month ahead of time. But instead, it was all like the people that do the Polite Society thing basically come together and call it a different name. But now they're doing it under the name of the Second Amendment Foundation as their weekly wrap-up. And they're going to shoot the shit. And I'm like, the hell, there's our second, we only have 3 of you organizations. And we're going to be expecting one, we're going to have to rely on you to just shoot the shit and talk about basic ass shit, get distracted by a stupid question like, should Republicans have guns or whatever the hell that question was? Like, are we really going to do this? So I was bugging them like, are you leadership? Are you going to lead us? Are you going to show us some direction? Are you going to, task a bunch of volunteers with some action so that, we're actually doing something? Or do we come to the Second Amendment Foundation for another observation on what we already fucking know? Or like a summary of what we've been watching all week? Like, what's your freaking job? Is your job just to offer another regurgitation of the stuff that's happened? Or is your job to understand what's happening and what could be happening with the understanding and the resource or whatever what's the word, like can't think of, just because they've been doing it for so long, they have I can't think of the word, but the experience, damn it, of all these different politicians and what they could be calculating, right? Like, we don't expect them to be telling us, like, I don't want them to be giving us a newsletter. We got Jared for that, right? He can tell us what's going on. And we got other organizations that just literally regurgitate news, or like find news, and what's that called? Like when you find the news and bring it to the surface. So we got things that do that. Second Amendment Foundation, I expect them to be leadership, right? There's no lawsuits to file, but they can certainly be aware of what else going on. And if they aren't, then I don't know if I want to be watching them just be doing a weekly live show where I could be watching, fill in the blank. I could watch Rick and it would be the same conversation, just with different people. I could watch Sandhills, same conversation, different people. I could watch, somebody else who might do a 2A show, same conversation, different people. Second Amendment Foundation is seriously just going to give us another conversation about it. Anyway, so that's my thing, is we're going to see that tomorrow. And I guess I'm ranting about it. But I don't think we're going to see anything different. I think we're going to see him just BS about the news.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. But
it depends on what they feel their role is. If they don't think their role is leadership, if they think their role is awareness or education, then they're doing what they expect, what they think people expect from them. And it's not the time to be like, oh, let's reevaluate what we expect from our organizations. We're going to get from them what we get. It's the whole thing I was trying to explain before. We've got the mortars in the air. Wishing we had bigger foxholes or wishing we had better leaders is a thing to be doing when we're planning what we need for the next battle, but not in this battle. But whatever. So I took that one in the direction, I guess, but Second Amendment Foundation. Oh, shit. That's what happens when you're not 2A enough. You can't even hang with that kind of conversation.
No, I was just going to ask, I'm wondering aloud if anybody watches Birdman Media.
I've heard the name, I don't know what.
Yeah. They're kind of scattershot, and they're very, very information light. But every once in a while they have some good stuff, and like the program name is Ad Mortem Odium Live, and today they were just talking about impeachment. But every once in a while they'll have a program on, and it's just it's really puff. It's 16 to 30 minutes, but maybe toss that one out there for other people to add to their feed and check out once in a while. And then there's one of the other videos that I really enjoyed today was a chat that a guy who's into, he's big into helmets. He's Canadian, but he lives in Minnesota and has become a U.S. citizen. So it's interesting to hear his perspectives on that. And also, I'm on his Discord server, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on all day long. And so we've been having these conversations about Milsurf, and I know that Koba 49 had dropped in several weeks ago on DGS, but everybody is still, they're talking a lot. Well, one guy picked up a Vetter league. He's excited about that, but yeah, everybody's still talking about what's on the horizon and whether Royal Tiger is going to continue to take the hold of some of the big stuff. So, and then there was another chat within the last week where people were talking about the CMP rifles and how to go about doing that. Does anybody have experience with a civilian marksmanship program rifle?
No, once again, heard of it. Have no idea how to do it.
You'd want to get a hold of Night Strike about that.
Yeah, it's a really cool program. You make application, and what they do is that they have rifles that they bench out and refurbish, and they have different grades. And you make application, and you get an approval. You have to be a member of the civilian marksmanship program, and what that does is it entitles you upon acceptance and paying it at several different grade levels. The opportunity to go to their facility and select from the racks something at your grade. And I looked into it a couple of years ago, but didn't follow through because I cannot remember where they are right now. We were talking about Florida earlier, and I don't think it is, but it was something perhaps mid-Atlantic, I guess. But it was like the distance that I just decided I didn't want to do, because I certainly want to be there to pick mine out, because they would ship them as well. But might be something to look into, especially for those people who are still trying to pursue American rifles of the Second World War, Korean.
Yeah, started in 1903 when decided that at a national level we should enhance education, awareness, and skill set with marksmanship. So they said, hey, why don't we take and make it so that kids can shoot easily and economically, and let's facilitate that and give them some incentive, right? Give them access to competition and whatnot, so that kids start shooting when they're young. And then it got to a point where that wasn't cool anymore or popular, or there wasn't enough milsurp, because that'll happen. They only have what's available to them, and with different lend-lease crap, I don't keep up with it, but treaties and blah, 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 and presidents who have agendas and other things happen, and stuff gets traded and compromises. So piles of guns have been sitting in different places during lend-lease, where we give it to a country, or we had them from a campaign or something, and just a big pile somewhere. So sometimes we'll sell them, and sometimes they'll get used by someplace for a while, and then they sit somewhere because these are old guns. But somewhere along the way, and somewhere along all those back and forths, enough kids weren't using the thing that all these adults started getting antsy, who wanted them as collector's items and for their shooting and whatnot. So then they changed it to be from kids to anybody. And then it turned into a snooty thing of like, how do we get the last remaining ones and whatnot. And then it's like a feast famine cycle now, where since anybody can feast on them every time they come in, there's like this weird situation where people with access get to go look at them and then gawk at them and probably get first pick, and then everybody else gets to get in line and do all the stuff. But you have to be a member of a local organization, because originally it was designed to be a way to get the country the skill set of marksmanship and facilitate it for the youngins. So you had to be a member at a local level, and then it was kind of a procedure, and now it's a little more routine. But I don't think you go there. I think you just order from a different level, like you're saying, fine or ultra fine or top shelf, and then you pay appropriately. But I don't think anybody goes there. That's long gone, where they just have them sitting on a shelf. There might be some sitting on a rack. I don't know where it is. Where's Tallahassee? Is that Florida or Talladega?
Florida, yeah.
No, Talladega. I think they're in Talladega. The other one's in
Florida.
Ohio, but I don't think they have the guns in Ohio. But yeah, it is what it is. There's not too many long distance shooters anymore, so it's hard to be all like, too worried about it not being for kids because there's no kids getting them. But it's one of those things that it's not a big thing because not enough industry gets to touch it, so nobody really talks about it except for the people that are in it. People that are in it know that, or into it and aware of it, know that it's a finite resource, and if they ever want it, they get another one. There's really no incentive for them to tell everybody about it. So what you end up with is people that are vaguely familiar with it talking about it, and probably may have been successful once just to dabble or whatever, but as soon as people are super into it, they quit talking about it. So it's actually kind of tough to get good info about it over the years, or at least consistent good info, because whatever good info worked at this point in time or that point in time is only good for that point in time, because now we're getting in a bunch of stuff from South Korea. Obviously, anything that had to do with the scarcity before South Korea has nothing to do with today, because now it's a whole different level when there's a plethora of guns, and now it's about hierarchy to who gets the good ones. Because I've definitely seen videos of the Korean ones coming in that have never been shot, all the way down to just destroyed. So it's, like I say, it's just a thing. If you want to get into it, it's definitely a whole level of it. And what the result is you get a Garand that was setting in North Korea, and it went to North Korea after somewhere. So it's not like too many of them are pristine or anything. And if you were in Korea, or if you know people, or if you're Korean, I mean, it's probably a whole different thing than if you're just some guy or some chick who wants to get a gun because you got a box of ammo. So it's definitely an interesting and deep thing to get into. And now they're doing Garands, but they've had 1911s, they've had carbines, they've had Springfields, they've had all kinds of guns go through there. If we had more people chatting from that area, we'd probably know more about it, because I'll bet you the people that live around there all know all about it and go over there, and they probably all have a couple of guns from there, right? Because it's local to them.
Yeah, if you have to go there, the distance for me would be out.
You don't have to go there. You just get shipped. Everybody around the country has them. They come to you, though. They don't. Do they even go to a gun shop?
They go directly.
They might go to a gun shop, but I think back in the day they just went to you. But I think whatever it is, like, you pick a gun and they grab it and wrap it up and it goes to you. It's not like the gun shop can buy 6 of them and you go to the gun shop and pick the one you like. Like, that doesn't happen, or it shouldn't happen. I don't think it's designed like that at all.
That's too bad. That was most of the appeal for me, was the road trip.
Well, I don't want to crap on it. I mean, I don't know. And that was my experience with it, is up before the Korean stuff. I haven't really paid attention in a while. So with the Korean stuff, maybe they do have so many of them that they put some out on a rack and you can just go comb through them. I remember days there were pictures where people would comb through them, but then that was all gone by the time the internet came around.
Anybody else?
Changed to something else, and then all the M16s went there. That'd be great, especially if there's no NFA. They just shipped them out to people.
I drive for that.
Me too. Yeah, you can go through the Cascades and cut roughly diagonal. Stop in Omaha. We'll eat some steaks. Make some bacon, and head to the Glades. Eat some oranges, pick up some Garand.
I'm not going anywhere near any of the swamps. I'm out. Go.
I'm gonna say, if it's in Talladega, that's Alabama. That's not Florida.
No, I thought we were in Tallahassee.
Still sounds hot. Sounds like the sun will kill me.
Hot, wet. Yeah.
You know that level on Mario when we were back in kids that where the sun came down and like hurt you? That's how I feel about the sun in real life. Anybody else see the redneck thing Bob did? That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't think he's 100% right. I think the term redneck was actually prior to that, but I think that was what made it bigger.
Yeah. I think that's more the public awareness rather than it being, and actually, because we were talking about Florida, I've always known it to have origin Florida.
But like things that happened between 1900 and 1920, it's hard for us nowadays to say where it started because some people said this and other people said that. My grandma told me it was this, and they may or may not have wrote it down. Probably not.
Yeah.
But there is like some stuff that the term redneck came from probably 1900 to 1910, and if the coal miners were more 1920. So
I had actually heard that it went clear back as far as slavery times. Something with slave drivers being out in the fields watching over the slaves, and they'd get sunburns on the back of their necks. I have no idea how true that is. I've never been able to corroborate it, but if anybody has heard that and able to, I'd be interested in knowing the source that you found.
I've never heard of that. It's always just been laborers, miners.
Well, if we're talking about Georgia, Texas, Florida, it's interchangeable with cracker as well.
But yeah, the one I'm most familiar with is the West Virginia coal miners.
Okay, here we go. At least if you want to roll with Wikipedia, a citation from 1893 provides a definition of poorer inhabitants of the rural districts, men who work in the field, as a matter of course, generally have their skin stained red and burnt by the sun, and especially in this true of the back of their necks. Hats were usually worn, and they protected the wearer's head from the sun, but also provided psychological protection by shading the face from close scrutiny. The back of the neck, however, was more exposed to the sun and allowed closer scrutiny about the person's background in the same way calloused working hands could be easily covered.
According to Wikipedia, anybody wears a hat is a redneck.
There you go. The rest of the entry is kind of interesting too. And then there's the miner thing coming in. And Woods, you're pretty much on. Especially popular in the 20s and the 30s in the coal-producing regions of West Virginia, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, Jonathan.
Yeah, the miners, those ones were, that strike was, if you really read about those people, the coal miners there, holy, some of the working conditions are some of the worst working conditions on earth.
Appalachia was a pit, man.
Like
working for the company
store. You were like an old man. Because
what about the person who has to dress Nancy Pelosi every morning?
Guess that, yeah, okay. Well, like
that'd be a terrible job.
20, so of course she was probably what 32 at the time. So
sorry, Miss Pelosi, we zipped your boob knee in your zipper again.
So yeah, if a seriously good film to check out is Matewan, Matewan. It's a West Virginia story. It's a story, a true story. So and there's also a really great documentary about striking miners. I think it's in West Virginia. And that's particularly powerful to anybody who's been around unions or been a member of a union. I was for a while a Teamster, and so yeah.
So it left me a bad taste in my mouth because I was a school bus driver, which somehow was still a Teamster.
Yeah.
And then they we lost the contract, so we all lost our jobs, but they told us we couldn't strike because we were school bus drivers.
Yep.
And I asked the Teamster leader, how could you ever negotiate in a no strike clause? That seems polar opposite to what everything that unions ever believed in.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, the only thing the union has is quit showing up. But we shouldn't get off on union stuff because don't even get me started on the teachers union.
Whose side are you on?
Same thing when I worked corrections. There was a no strike clause.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Like you have to have employees or like the criminals get out, right? Like
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at the
you
same
don't have
time,
public drivers, kids don't go to school for a day.
yeah, but
No one
at the same time, where's that leverage at? You know,
True.
In a true democracy, if a kid wanted to get to school, then he would get to school. Or she would get to school. There shouldn't need to be bus drivers or buses, school buses.
So then only the kids with resources get to school?
The kid with gumption.
Kid 6 lives in a crappy neighborhood, is going to walk anyway.
Rick will rage about our school buses. So I've just gone anti-school bus with him. You keep your reasons to yourself for your pro school bus.
Former school bus driver. Did it for 11 years while studying to be a teacher.
You're still pro school bus?
Yeah, because I think they're at the end of the day, the super poor kids didn't choose that. They need to get to school.
Well, nowadays, them super poor kids can just go to school on their laptop and their internet connection like everybody else.
Yeah, because that's working so splendidly.
I actually had a teacher who retired after my senior year, and he became a bus driver after he retired from teaching. I got to bump into him a couple of years later, and I was BSing with him, and we were talking about it, and he said he wishes he would actually gone and started driving school bus way earlier than what he did. He absolutely loves it.
You're driving a school bus. What you do is you count all the kids to go in the back of the bus so that the thing pops a wheelie constantly. And then when you get pulled over, you just blame the kids and they're going to take it because they're not going to get a record. So you'd be like, them kids did it. And they're going to be like, yeah, we did it. What are you going to do, copper?
In my old school bus route, they used to take me off my route and put me with other routes where the kids were having problems, and so I could get the kids back into behaving again. And every time they did it, they would get a bunch of calls. Where's Woods? Where's Mr. Woods?
If I was a bus driver and I picked up some kid who's a burnout, I would be like, oh, this kid's a burnout. And then when you pick him up, you'd burn out. And I would teach him not to be a burnout.
I got a bunch of off-air stories on buses, but that doesn't have anything to do with it.
So 11 people were like, oh, 2A, huh? I'm going to turn into the 2A show and I'm going to listen to some 2A information that's worthwhile and useful. And then they're like, oh, unions and buses. Awesome.
But sometimes we talk organically like that, we come up with good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Refocusing on the Second Amendment and its practical applications in the state of Michigan. A week after the Capitol shenanigans, we have no firearms allowed in their Capitol building now. Monday. Fresh 2A news. Come and get it.
Well, it's the 14th, so we've got a day, and then we got all this bullshit fake flag or false flag crap about to happen. So, going to see some interesting shit happen over the weekend, for sure. You know, I've seen stuff about that.
Did you guys hear about Delta refusing to allow people to check firearms on flights going to DC this weekend?
It's all posturing and virtue signaling. When something, whatever happens this weekend happens, that's when we're going to see the actual change in the world.
So do any other states or municipalities represented in the text or in the voice chat have policies regarding the provision for checking firearms at control points? We have that here at the county courthouse.
I think on a regular basis you can do that going into a court in Washington, but I know for until after the inauguration, if you go to our state house in Olympia, you can't do that. You're going to meet National Guardsmen.
Yeah, it was an issue that, well, it was a perceived potential issue last year at the Capitol, where many of us had gathered about two pieces of legislation. One of them, the one I was there for, was the red flag public commentary comments, and yeah, it turned into a complete non-deal.
That was when you had a balance, when there was two sides of a discussion. That's no longer the case. It's not going to be like that any further. It's going to be a lot different going forward.
I hope it's not significantly different this year, at least here. But I do not disagree about it nationally, though, and in Washington in particular. What about Pennsylvania barbecue?
I know that I cannot carry into my county courthouse or anything, so they're pretty strict about government buildings here for some reason.
Yeah, that's federal law. I mean,
Yeah.
federal law. There's 10 places that we can't go by federal law, and that's courthouses, prisons, national nuclear reactors, and post offices. Like that's not jurisdiction or anything. That's just federal law. Occasionally, a state will apply it to even more. And then the whole idea of like having to have a place where you can, like a locker or whatever, is up to compliance, and the failure to comply is enforced based on interest in interest in enforcing. So that's an angle that we haven't had a chance to get to because we haven't, won so many other battles that we could catch up to that kind of stuff. But Peak saying DC already bans peeps having guns unless you live there, so you'd never be able to land in DC with one anyway. That's why you can't fly to New York. So when you're saying Delta, I think it's Deltas to the whole West Coast or the whole East Coast, though. It's not just to DC, was it? If it was just
I prefer DC.
Oh, then what Pink just said, yeah, nobody can fight a DC anyway except cops with a gun.
So
nobody would fight through it.
Could, right?
What?
Is Pink saying you couldn't even way before this, and their Delta just being like, "Hey, we're not going to allow that."
Yeah, they're just virtue signaling.
Like, we never really allowed that, but we're going to look at us.
Yeah, exactly. That's like saying, "Oh, we're not going to let people fly to New York with a gun." Well, guess what? Nobody flies to New York with a gun. So who cares?
We also know they do all the time. That's why people get hemmed up, is because they fly to New York. They check their gun. They fly to New York. They get their gun in New York and all that fun jazz. But when they go to fly back out, they check their gun and they're like, "Oh, hey, guess what? We just broke our laws."
Yeah. When people have flown through New York, yes, but let's not start acting like that happens daily. Otherwise, we'd have a whole other set of things to talk about on the regular. But it has happened. But yeah, going through. No, I'm saying nobody flies to New York though to say this is my final destination with a gun, which is what we're talking about in DC. We're not talking about a layover in DC. We're talking about people going to DC, right? But that's the thing. That wasn't a thing. But I assumed it was all the airports because you've been there. There's like, what, 2-3 airports that are just DC's airports, and then all the ones that are in Maryland and whatnot that are not technically DC but are a cab ride away from DC. So I figured they were just blocking them to that whole area.
I did like seeing the van again today. When are you going to do van chats again? Even though some of them were just you and me. No, that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, we're going to see. This weekend will tell us a lot, honestly. Like, we'll know after this weekend if we're still welcome to chat about certain things online or whatever. But I have ball joint and some little odds and ends in the mail. So it says the stuff will get here like next week, but I'm hoping. I mean, what can it? There's nothing going on right now in the mail. So stuff was just hauling ass in the mail before Christmas time, and the Christmas time holiday screwed everything up, but it always does every year, right? So I'm hoping that stuff gets here earlier than it says it's gonna, because it's not real heavy or big, and it's all coming from one place. But anyway, I barely ordered the stuff today. It'll be here next week, so I'm thinking we'll have some van chats coming up. The weather's definitely nice, so I can actually go out there and work on it, and there's definitely things to be worked on. So yeah. And after this weekend, I guess what I'm saying is if we're not allowed to talk about guns anymore, then guess what? I'll only be doing van chats. There won't be any chance to do anything else besides van chats.
Yeah, we'll see, huh?
All right, well, so we can watch that van chat, I guess. There we go. Well, you know what I can do? I bet you I can do this.
You gonna go check it at night? Do we have to run the show for a minute?
Oh, well, you guys ain't saying shit. Otherwise, I would have a long time ago. Is that showing the thing? Yeah, that's showing the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I can do this, and everybody can still hear it. Well, there's nothing to hear. So basically, it starts out with that dog. She's sick. And then I'm changing them lights into LED lights. That's what we're talking about checking. Oh, I guess I can make this a lot bigger, huh? Boom. Anybody ever put LEDs in instead of these things?
Never thought of it. It's a good idea.
Somebody gave them to me a long time ago, and I never even thought about putting them in the van. And then I was over there buying stuff on Rock Auto, and I was like, oh, maybe I should put LEDs in there. And then I seen the LED thing, you know, the Rock Auto gives you a preview of it. Once I seen it, I'm like, well, that looks very familiar. I'm pretty sure I have 2 of these already that somebody gave me for the cop car, and they were the wrong kind of bulbs for the cop car. It used a different format or, you know, form factor. So I just had these bulbs sitting around, and they didn't work in the old van either. So anyway, yeah, I'm like, damn, bingo, they fit perfect in the new van. So took all of about 4 seconds to go swap them out. So I figured I'd do a video here, and this is what it looks like without any stuff in it. But, you know, I dress in clothing and I eat food. So because of that, there's other stuff in this van when I drive around normally. This is what it looks like when I help people move or, you know, have to use the van as a pickup truck, make a few bucks once in a while. So now normally it wouldn't look like this when I'm doing a tour or whatever. So I think Bob said something like, oh, you got it cleaned out really good. I'm like, yeah, but it's not that cleaned out when I'm doing stuff, when I'm on the road. But anyway, I just sort of was sitting back there and thinking about how to think around with it going forward. Like I say, this is definitely the time of year to do it. But I'm just not sure what all. I mean, it's kind of no frills. You know, it's designed to do what it does, and it does it pretty decent. A couple of little things I think I might change, but otherwise, we'll see what all. There's a couple of repairs that, you know, up front they're going to get done, and then well, the thing is, even if I get it all fixed up and ready to go, there's not really not that many places to go with it right now. So we'll see what kind of events start happening this year. With all the BS about the impeachment and setting up the whole bullshit with trying to make guns illegal, I haven't heard nothing about like whether or not everybody's going to have to be afraid for being able to travel next year or not. Because I've heard some stuff that, you know, what do you call it? The virus is going to go away and everybody's going to be able to do whatever they want next year. And then I've heard the other side, oh, we got to be locked down until 4 years from now or whatever. So not sure how the events are going to end up coming out this year. Where'd I get all the multicam? I went to a local surplus store and they had it there. And it was 4 feet wide. How long is a bolt of fabric? I don't know what a bolt of fabric normally is. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was 4 feet wide or 4 feet tall or whatever you want to say. And then it was just a roll and you could buy as many feet of it as you want. So I think it was whatever it was. I ordered or I bought 30, well, not quite 30 feet. I basically figured the van is like 10 or 11 feet long back there. And then like one piece for the wall, one piece for the roof, and then a half a piece for the other wall because there's doors and stuff on it. And then whatever I figured out, I bought and then needed about a third of it because I'm an idiot, I guess. So I still have like a ton of that multicam. I bought at least 2/3 more than I ever needed for the van. And I definitely have a lot in the van, but not enough to, make all my clothes out of multicam or make like the front. I should have made front seat covers out of it if I knew how to do that. Redo the headliner. I used to use sheets and stuff for headliners. The trick is getting them to stick up there. In this thing, I just used spray glue from Harbor Freight, which was the cheapest spray glue I could find. Spray glued the fabric, spray glued the roof, which was just the insulation stuff. Let it set for a bit to get tacky on both sides. Then squished it up there and knock on wood. It stayed up there through heat and cold now for a while. The walls aren't staying up as well. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but something about having the entire roof up there and just not having any stress on it, probably. Nothing's pulling on it, but the walls, have the bottom of the wall pulling on the top of the wall.
Did you scuff it before you sprayed the adhesive on?
The board? No.
No, yeah, the painted surface on the van, on the
What?
walls. The walls, are they wooded? You got those paneled out too?
No, it's foam insulation on all that. Multicam is just glued on top of foam insulation is all.
Oh, right on. Because I used the Loctite spray adhesive in my van for all the panels that I lined with fabric, that I covered with fabric, and it held up. Well, in Phoenix, middle of the summer, and all the way up through Vancouver Island, and crazy altitude Idaho in the middle of a snowstorm.
I did have a question, something you said about the dog bed. I'd never met you, but I know that you're a tall guy. How do you and that dog fit on that bed?
Oh, because I don't got to put my whole body on it. I mean, if I'm cold or whatever, I just got to put the core of my body, like my, what do you call me? Like the, the part, what do you call your main part of your body on there? And that'll fit on there. And then she sits on the side of me. She fits on there. I'm not that fat. I don't have like, I'm not going to curl up on there or nothing. Anything can happen. But it's basically enough to get me up off the ground. The thing is that ground is rubber, and then underneath of that is 1 inch of foam. So it's not really all that cold very often.
In my van, Hank, my American Bulldog, and I could sleep side by side, but I always spooned him to catch that warmth off of his trunk. I had one of those accordion fold out beds. So the foam pad was like 4 or 5 inches. Yeah, 5 or 6 inches actually. And it just accordioned out, and you slid the ply out over the frame beneath it and collapsed it back up into a couch. It's pretty slick.
I don't know what the deal is. If you have a bed in there, then it's a camper. And there's probably other things that would make it like a camper, like a sink or something, like a bathroom, I'm sure. But I don't know. I'm already paying more because it's a big van. But I don't know if I'd be paying more or if I'd definitely be paying more if it had a bed. But that's why I never put like a, and the other reason is I don't really want a bed back there. But I never even thought about doing the bed thing. But Yeah, then it gets to a whole nother level because you either have to build around one that's just always there, which, there's lots of ways to do that, or make something that folds or stows, and that could be a whole nother thing. Or take some sort of cot. I do have a cot, and like in the old van, which is a regular size van, I would put like this army cot in there, but I learned real fast that for the same reason I don't take an army cot when I go camping or whatever. Like, army cots are not comfortable, period. They're not better than laying on the ground. And for what, 2 or 3 things that make them better than laying on the ground, maybe, it's not worth having a giant army cot folded. Or like, they don't fold very small. So it's like, it takes up just a ton of space when you're not using it. And it only incrementally better than just sleeping on the floor when you've got it open.
Yeah, I'd like to have the couch opportunity, on the bed opportunity as well for people who visited the van, and some of the creature comfort. But mine was a '74 Dodge Tradesman that was a camper conversion, so the roof had been peeled off, and so it had a kick out up above about a foot or so, and then they dropped the back end off of it and added another 2 feet to it, and it had a pump sink, not a fridge but an ice box, and it had a 2-burner stove and a little sink. But I used a suitcase toilet for company if they didn't want to go outside, but otherwise, it was a hotel room on wheels in a lot of ways. You also had the above the cockpit. You could get, 2 kids or, 1 small adult.
Usually, have you ever thought about putting like a beanbag in there? I think we had a bean. Well, I've definitely had beanbags in vans before. Yes, they work really good in the van. But in this van, I think we had a beanbag in there for a bit. The dogs don't like beanbags as much as they like just a big cushion like that. So, and beanbags are only great until they break, and then they're a pain in the ass. So we've never had like a rugged beanbag. We just have always inherited a beanbag from a thrift shop or something and enjoyed it until it got thrashed, which is about as much time as I have interest in a beanbag, so it works out pretty good.
Has anybody ever spent any time in a love sack? Like the upgrade update of the beanbags of our youth?
Yeah, Marco's got one. It's creepy as shit. I don't like to be around it.
No.
Never heard of it.
It's like you ever seen a pool that goes in the backyard?
Yeah.
Turn it upside down, make it out of like rawhide or cowhide or something, like way more sturdy than a regular beanbag, but not quite as bad as like the upholstery that a couch is made out of, but somewhere in between, like, rugged. So it's like as big as a couch, and then you cram that into somebody's living room, and it's something like a giant tomato or it's like a giant cow poop, a lot like a giant cow poop, depending on what color it is, and then you like 4 or 5 people can jump on it. Sort of like a giant round couch without any arms or a back.
Yeah, that sounds creepy.
I don't know. It's highly conducive to a cuddle puddle.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be weird with like your girlfriend or something, great. But for everybody else, it's like, hey, you want to just sit around watching a movie, like spooning each other? Like, no. On the balcony, so other people are going to walk by and look at whatever gross things happen in there? I don't know. That's California. That's what you expect in California. Marco's got one in his basement.
Is she right about the van is kind of like Mary Poppins' bag? It's like from the outside it looks small, and then inside you have like way more room.
It doesn't look small though. This is a long wheelbase van, so it looks like 3/4 of a bus. It's not small. It's the giantest van. I have to literally pay extra because of how much it weighs on the road. I'm paying like if it was a cement truck for the license on it. So it looks big because it is big. It doesn't look like a regular van. Everybody's just saying that. Like, it doesn't look like a regular van. It's long. Like, it takes up a parking spot plus. I have to park through into another parking spot to park it. So anyway, that's why it looks so long, or looks like there's so much room in back. And I would highly recommend not bothering with that. If I was doing, I kind of thought like if I was going to gun shows or something and I needed to bring like a bunch of stuff, then it would be okay because I would have like extra room and be able to lay down back there. But it's not worth having to park the thing and turn. Like I can't make a U-turn ever. It's just a pain in the ass. So it's not worth it.
Got knives showing up out in the chat there.
Yeah, because people were talking about weird stuff happening on balconies.
In California.
Yeah, he's like,
He literally, he said, he woke up.
Gio de Automatica.
So you're sitting there minding your business, walking down the street, past an apartment that's got 3 floors or whatever, and you can tell some kind of ruckus is happening up on the 3rd floor, and something comes flying over the railing off of a giant beanbag that who knows how many people are up in there. Nothing comes flying out of that beanbag that I want to have fall on me on the sidewalk. That's all I'm saying. Nothing. It seems reckless.
I can agree with you, but I've definitely been guilty of being way too loud and obnoxious on a balcony before.
All right. So speaking of that, I'm trying to go to California. So I'm going to be setting up some stuff for Free Patch Friday tomorrow. I can go over here now and do this. Unlike your daytime chats, which are more worried about their scripts or their programming or whatever it is that they're worried about, I can do stuff like put this overlay on here, boom, and let you know that it's Free Patch Friday tomorrow. So we're going to be putting all kinds of stuff on the store once this show's over, which will happen soon here. And then encourage everybody to head over to the store, check it out. We're going to be putting up subscriptions to the newsletter. We're going to be doing a paper newsletter as an alternative to the electronic of everything that's happening. Electronic stuff that's happening. We're going to add the piece of paper sending stuff to people and add some dimensions to that, hopefully, going forward this year. I've always had the, what's the word, like feeling, I guess, that, or the suspicion maybe, that the platforms, well, I knew the platforms weren't going to last forever, but I had a suspicion that a migration would come from the platforms to something better. I really thought it would happen because something better would come along and it would just happen. And I was, you've watched my conversations over the years, wondered how fast that might happen or how deliberate that might happen. But I suspect with what's going on right now, we're going to see a bunch of craziness. I don't know if you all have noticed it, my subscription numbers. I don't pay that much attention, but I notice when they change by hundreds or thousands, I can tell when it's a different number every time I go back to a platform or a channel somewhere. So there's definitely either people getting removed from platforms or people deleting their accounts is probably what it is. Because there's definitely differences out there. So whatever becomes of it, if there is a reason for all this, if this is a massive setup and we're not talking to each other after Monday, or if this was just another, what's the word, crying wolf type of situation, not cry wolf, but just a non-issue, like it turns out to not be as big an issue, then if nothing else, it'd be good consequence of this whole thing to see people off of the YouTube teat and the Facebook teat and aware that what the other platforms are and seeing the disadvantages and the potentials of them, because we're pretty weak when we depend on people who obviously are now making it clear that they hate what we appreciate or even stand for, and have the means of just describing us as whatever they decide to describe us as, or having the beliefs we've got. So we'll see. Angelina jumped in. It is an hour something into the show. We could easily end it because, like I said, I got to get ready for tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll just have to sit here doing something else. And I don't really want to do that. I don't mind starting from scratch. I'll do it. I'll have to if I have to. But I'd much rather kick everything in the butt and continue cooking with gas the way we're doing it with 2A. So I'm going to be working on, like I say, getting some stuff for the store tomorrow. However, if everybody wants to start chatting again, then I'll just go check my lights outside and we'll just keep going. I'm not going to do a 6-hour chat, but we're at that crucial 1 hour mark where it either keeps going or it ends abruptly. And that's going to depend on you and you and you and you and even you, Little Miss Knives, because y'all are part of the show. And you know who I can't click on? All you weirdo, creepy mopes that don't come in here and talk. Now, 2 people have passed from that. Pink, because he's usually working, even though he's clicking on stuff today, and Ozzy, who's normally working. But everybody else, they don't say nothing. We can't click on them. Go ahead.
Is Pants working?
No, he said something like, I'm home or something, right?
Okay.
I thought that's what he first said. No, he said born on the bayou. So maybe he just got
wrong.
Yeah, you were supposed to play it when she jumped in.
That was my theme song for the night.
And didn't I win a contest?
I can offer this.
So every time I see that, I just feel extremely uncomfortable. I think it's because
Tonight's episode, The Ripoff.
I think it's the gyration, like the hip gyration. It's too fresh for me.
It's like Elvis. Like you're a parent, and that's Elvis, and you think of us as the youth.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like that's the devil in them hips.
I've only been banned.
Oh, I wanted to add. When you were talking about teats earlier, I was removed from the Discord teat, and I don't know why. Well, it said I like threatened somebody or was part of a like bad server, like a hate server. But
Discord is virtue signaling.
Yeah, they are virtue signaling.
Or is it like what do you call it? Like I don't like this person, so I'm gonna report them. And if there's 3 people that do that, then you get kicked or something. Is it like one of them eventuality, consequentiality things where you figure out how to knock people off?
Well, I just got like straight up banned, so I don't think it was that because I got this like email about it, and I don't really go on Discord that often, maybe like once a week, and I was in like 5 servers, like 2 were about fucking crafts, like crafting. One
I went to a Walmart, and I have to remember where, but I went live to show it that all the craft supplies, including the cowbells, were behind glass. So crafting isn't necessarily legit.
Oh yeah, I guess it could be. Maybe it's like a gateway to anarchy or something. But the one server that I was in that I think, and this is why I'm bringing it up because it's very relevant to Daily Gun Show, is the one server I was in that was questionable, and this is like air quotes because it's like lame people questionable, was Calguns. So
interesting. Well, I think if it was something like that, then we would hear there's a lot of people that use Discord. We'd hear a lot of people complaining, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it was every gun Discord thing, just the Calguns one, just people on it. I have no idea because it just like wiped me off of Discord, and I didn't I made a new one, but I don't have any of like my friends on there or anything anymore because like my just like erases your account and shit, and I didn't use it that much anyway. So I keep planning on going to the forum because of course I think the Facebook, the Calguns Facebook group got shut down because Calguns, and asking there like, hey, did anyone else get banned too? Because the other, like I said, the other servers I was in was nothing weird at all, like nothing like risque or anything like that. The Calguns one would be the only one that anyone could possibly have a problem with. I think my fan's pretty loud. But yeah, so that sucks.
Oh, Gizzard. Hey, Gary.
Hey. Is this going to be a problem having a dinosaur and a chicken?
No, we're related.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the chicken's ancestor is in here, but the ancestor might eat the descendant.
Yeah, we're related. It's no big deal.
Does the ancestor want me to cook the chicken first?
Okay, now that one's chasing that one. Here, I'm going to separate them. I'll put them up here.
There you go.
Dinosaurs don't eat meat.
Dinosaurs were vegan.
Vegisaurs.
That's right.
That was what all them teeth were for, is cutting through all that celery-like vegetation.
Yeah, forget Jurassic Park. It's not a real movie.
That would be kind of cool. Do a whole vegan dinosaur thing. All right, well, Gary's jumping in, and I was going to go look at my lights. So if you all want, you can take over, chat about stuff for the next, 3 to 5 hours, and it should be good. Pro 2A, if you want to solve this whole, like, fake, what was I calling it? A false flag event this weekend, setting us all up to take away 2A.
So I went into my local gun shop today, hoping to score an AK-47 that I had seen there last month. I knew it was a pipe dream. Walking in there, I figured it was probably going to be sold. And upon getting in there, I discovered it was sold. So I moseyed around, looked at a bunch of stuff. Once the shop owner realized that I was in there, because he was very busy today. When I went in, there was probably 8 people in line. And once he realized I was just kind of moseying around, he hollers to the back of the shop. He's like, "Hey, John, $20 off anything you want." And I'm like, "Terrific, thank you." So I keep shopping, and after the shop clears out a little bit and he's got some breathing room, I floated the idea of helping him with his social media. And I was actually turned down, not because he doesn't want any help with his social media, but because he's been so busy. He's afraid of the extra business that social media help would bring in. And he's actually starting to finally have problems getting firearms from his distributor. And that was his reason for turning it down at the moment.
Set him up with midnight range, and he'll start losing business. Okay, I guess that didn't work. I'll go outside and check.
I liked it, but I was muted.
I smirked, but it wasn't a laugh.
What I missed?
I don't know.
A dumb joke. So I got my, after my 10-day of tyranny, I got my new super awesome, the greatest gun ever. Yep, I bought an Altor.
Seriously?
Yeah, because it's just so ridiculous. I had to have one.
Awesome.
89 bucks.
380 or a 9?
Well, I mean, if you're going to get one 9, but let's be honest, couldn't you stuff? I think you could probably stuff 380 in there too, right?
Don't know. Maybe.
It sits on the end. How would it know?
That's true.
So yeah, it's gonna be my new carry gun. I'm done with all of the air guns now. I mean, it's got this cool, really, really dangerous trigger thing, and the safety is all completely terrible.
Yeah, I actually held one of those up at SHOT Show. And
I mean, we all buy guns for shits and giggles sometimes, right?
in fact, they were up at the pop-up preview this last year.
Well, G-Webs has that one where he interviewed the guy that invented it. It's essentially just a zip gun with a serial number on it. That's all it is.
Pretty much.
But affordable freedom too. I mean, it does seem like it's at least sort of well built compared to like a stick.
Well, for what the MSRP was for it, though, which I believe originally was a little over $100, for just a few dollars more, you could actually have a high point, which you could not only actually shoot, but you could throw at somebody and hurt them fairly badly. So,
Bang nails.
Yeah, I got one of those too. I love that thing. I love how much it annoys my super rangy friends when you pull that out. Like one of my buddies, the former super marine range master, and just the look on his face was worth the $150 I paid, or the $99 I paid for that. It's essentially a brick mounted on a squirt gun.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had any problem firing any kind of ammo you can put in it. And I've put different types of ammo with steel and brass all in the same magazine just to see if I could get it to be weird. It doesn't do nothing. It shoots it all. It doesn't care.
I had a 45 high point, and that thing was actually fairly accurate.
Yeah, it's not too terrible accurate, other than it's
for having crappy sights.
Yeah, with crappy sights and the weird weight of it. Like, but if you can get used to that, you could defend yourself pretty good with it. Anybody else got any of those more affordable type guns that they bought? What's the cheapest gun you ever bought?
Model 68. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, no, you go ahead, ma'am.
No, it's nice of you. A burst of thunder would probably be my... Oh, no. My cheapest gun is my Remington 341 Sportsmaster. It was like $120, but it's a rifle. But my cheapest handgun, Burst of Thunder, 380. Fuck you. Burst, not you.
Yeah, that didn't work out great for you.
Well, they're like snappy little bitches. Like the thing for me is like if it was like a conceal gun or something, like that's one thing. But I live in California, so that's out. And I didn't find it enjoyable to shoot, so it wasn't for me.
Did you end up getting rid of it?
Yeah. So what I did, so I got it. I bought it from a friend of mine, and 10-day waiting period, all that. Went to the range, shot a mag through it, put it back in its case, and then listed it on CalGuns.
You're like, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, I don't like this. This sucks.
So our cheapest gun, does it need to be the cheapest brand new firearm or just cheapest firearm, new or used?
However, I always go with however you interpret the question.
All right, well, in that case, I'm just going to go with the cheapest one I ever purchased, and that would probably be my Winchester Model 68 that I picked up for $40. It's just a single action or single shot 22 rifle.
How long ago was that?
Probably about 6 years ago. Picked it up off a buddy.
Yeah, I couldn't walk away from $40 gun. Hell no.
Yeah, and say it actually shoots 22 long rifle and shorts.
Well, I mean, I could take my Ruger 1022 and fire shorts. I just can only fire one, and it's not going to shoot the action back.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go in there and get it. How about you, Gene or Gizzard?
Well, back in, I think it's late 80s, I bought this 410 single shot 410 shotgun. It's a New England Firearms Partner. And I paid $70 for it at Walmart.
Yeah, Partner's a good little gun. I've had several of those over the years.
Yeah, it's a good gun.
They don't see much use now, but I still have them. Zombie Apocalypse are going to be great. Be like, here, take this, go over there. Watch that.
Yeah, because when this COVID shit hit this last year, when you couldn't buy anything else, they had 410 shotgun shells all over the place. So I bought some up. So it might be the last damn thing I have, but I'll be sitting there one at a time going pew out of there.
All right, DJ, what do you got?
25 and 25. one in 25, Jennings MP25, and the other one a Marlon Model 60.
I had one of the Jennings, the 380 version of that?
Yeah.
I carried that for years, but we're not going to talk about when I had that.
Anytime's a good time for Saturday Night Special.
Marlon Model 60 is a good gun. I got one of those too.
Yeah, not that particular example, but anytime I could find them for between 60 and $100, I snacked them right up and ran through them and repaired anything that needed to be taken care of, and then rolled them back to my Boy Scout troop. And so I've got a half a dozen still in the basement.
When G gets back, do you think he's going to let me pick the patch he talked about, or did he forget?
I want to know about the
John Wick
really expensive guns that he has, because he is a home for. He does provide a home for wayward guns.
The patch for winning the movie thing, or just some patch for like a patch sake?
The winning the movie thing, apparently.
Do you know what patch you're going to pick?
No.
Do you know what you get to pick out of?
No.
I was hoping there was like some substance to that.
I would just like to take a moment to chastise all the patrons for not selecting Tombstone. You guys have terrible taste.
Terminator.
Although I was actually kind of excited to see how many people did pick the good, the bad, the ugly. That was going to be my other pick if I didn't actually recommend Tombstone. And luckily, RollCall come in at last minute and did recommend that. So you guys kind of redeemed yourself by voting so much for the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm done talking because I can't get it out.
When I picked John Wick, not because I think it's the best gun movie, I thought it was the best gun movie that would win the contest.
Strategy.
What's the best gun TV show?
I'm hijacking this chat. I think we should like turn it into a music discussion.
Okay.
Start with Marvin Gaye.
What's going on?
Yeah.
You're up. I don't know.
I already took my cut and knocked it out.
I got nothing.
You want me to go Bambino style? How about every single duet he did with Tammy Terrell? How about that?
Yeah.
How about
well, she's pretty good too. It's hard. Anything that she's in is always really good. But I don't know. That was just like a random starting point because I just did a social media posting, and that's why I used that.
Straight.
But so he actually, he's from here. I think he actually, where his dad shot him, I think it was in the Valley.
Ooh, we got back to guns.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
I'm just saying.
There it is.
I got your back.
See, folks, there's always a method to the madness.
See, there's that organic moment I was talking about.
Just happens.
Yeah, what do you think about Marvin's duets with Mary Wells?
Oh my God. Okay, so you don't know this. I don't know, maybe you do. So Motown is one of my ultimate music boners. Like, I could go into that forever. So yeah, I'm so down about that because Motown is a fave.
Straight. Yeah, that was one of my pilgrimages too. But I mean, have you been there?
No, I haven't been there yet, but I hope to. Oh shit, Mello's here.
Belly rubs.
Can anybody go over to that Instagram so we can get these belly rubs in? Is this mic working now?
You
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of belly rub requests over on Instagram. I can't read them because I'm rubbing belly right now.
Well, Mello is saying that you're still under. You haven't rubbed enough, so she'll let you know when you've reached the right number.
Do you have
Yeah,
any
and
treats? You should be feeding your treats, like with your other hand.
And I ordered a very gentle belly rub.
I'm saying, can somebody go over to the Instagram though? I linked to it so we can address the ones that were requested. There's like
Oh,
18
sure.
of them.
I do step, but you put pictures of dogs on the screen, so now I'm kind of just gonna watch your dog.
The mesmer stare.
How'd you get so lucky to get such a great dog that just like chills with you?
Oh, she's not so much great as broken.
She's pretty rad, though.
Is anybody grabbing that Instagram?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm stuck on Pets for Vets.
I put a link in the video. Or I mean in the, well, there's one there, I think. Too.
I love
I feel
Pants
like-
just now. He once traded a sandwich for a Genesis 22.
Wait, was it Instagram or was it Patreon?
Instagram. It's linked
Okay.
in the text video.
I'm on the Instagram. She's eating rice.
Right in the comments there, we can just give the what do you call it? What are this called? The dedications, the belly rub dedications. I think she's
All
ready.
right, I'll start reading them off, and you start rubbing. But you got to pace yourself because there's a lot, so your hand might get sleepy, and then she's gonna bite it.
Oh no, I think she's be all right.
So, Angry, he says, get well soon. Woods, belly rubs from the Great Northwest. Those are pretty good ones. Bob sends his love. Oh, Smeggy, so like make your hand like cold and then rub it like a snowman. American Victory sends one over. Calaveras, an extra belly rub from the California Pickle, and he hopes she feels better. 2 Live Moo. Oh, 2 belly rubs from 2 Live Moo. So that's a lot like some extra. Gun 45 Cal, a belly rub there. The Tan Hat. That's probably like a head pat too. Mr. Johnny Blaze. Oh, 2 comments, so double the rubs.
That one's from Tucson, so that's a local belly rub also.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of belly rubbing. Firearm Insider. That's a big one there. Marla Sands. Oh, another one. There you go. El Teneta. Get well soon. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second.
Oh, an El Teneta.
PNW Nature Dude.
Who?
Some dude, PNW Nature Dude. Is he competing with Woods?
Wait a minute. We're gonna have to have a battle here. That's not
Well, let me finish telling you this. He's issued 2 belly rubs, and I think he only issued 1 belly rub. So I don't know about that. We'll have to check into the rules. The Tan Hat, another rub from the hat. And that one has a like, so I think that's like a bonus rub. But also, Oh, how do I see this? How many likes are on this? I don't know how you can see that because it's a video. I mean, probably at least like 100 likes, so keep rubbing.
I've also been adding the miscellaneous manhandling. She likes that, rubbing around like this.
Like flopping her.
Pretty much anything at this point. She's melted into the bed, so she'll take anything at this point. All right, well, appreciate everybody sending her good wishes. She ate some chicken. She's been... Yeah, so anyway, I'll talk about it when I get back in there. So anyway, I'm going to shut it off in here.
Did the lights work better?
Stay tuned to find out.
I thought that was the whole point of the mission.
What's that?
Did the lights work better? You never showed us.
Oh, wait, that's Angelina. I was about to kick Angelina. Well, no, I didn't take a phone out there. I can't tell. I don't know how to make my backlight. I don't use those lights ever, so I'm not really sure how to make them turn on. So I can only get the front ones to turn on. It seems brighter, but I never use them, so I really don't remember. I'm going to literally have to go out there at night, put the old bulb back in and look around, switch it, and then look around because I can't remember. I think it's brighter. But like I say, I never use those. I just always have a flashlight or something that's way brighter anyway. Wheel the same. What's the 2A subject tonight? Good question. We usually put them in the description of the video. So tonight had quite a few of them since we kind of abbreviated the shows the last couple of nights for reasons. So let's see. CloverTac had his show, and they did a bunch of stuff wrong, so we can always talk about that, especially after his show. You always like to talk about what people did wrong right after they did it. The armed protest being a false flag from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. Of course, this weekend, giant false flag event that they're going to use to get rid of all guns. It's going to end the Second Amendment. And I've only seen like 2 real videos warning people about it. Then we got Walt doing a video about willing to work with the left for 2A. We had Bob's video from the other night about rednecks. I think we talked about that in a little bit. The Florida event and the Florida Carry had a video talking about and interviewing the guy who runs the company that owns the facility where they're going to have the speakers or the rally portion of the open carry fishing event. So it's a multi-focused, what's the word, like different things going on that weekend in Florida. There was a conversation from Florida Carry, the state level organization, about the portion of the event with the guy who's hosting that portion of the event. Then you had Crump and his chat with Richard Lyons, a guy who talking about, what were they talking about specifically? I guess DMA and democracy, but they ended up talking about all kinds of interesting subjects. And then Crump, after that guy left, they started talking about alternative platforms and alternative communication things, and we're going to have to talk about that probably tomorrow. And then did a van update. We talked about the van quite a bit. That's not so much 2A. And then Foss, I always want to say Foos for some reason, but Foss had a video on his other channel about putting stars in a box. That was pretty good. We linked to that. We linked to a guy, well, I didn't link, I mentioned a guy in California that got 2,000 views bitching about some old news. Well, we're about to lose our Second Amendment. And then linked to last night's show where we did the vote for the movies and then whatnot. So basically the 2A stuff was the beginning of that list. Let's see. I didn't really miss that much other stuff, did I? He was talking about Pants's build. Knives went to sleep. Do you think that a turtle like Knives would sleep on his shell with like a blanket over his belly? Or does he sleep on his belly with a blanket over his shell?
You're walking in the
belly.
desert. You see a tortoise. It's laying on its back. Why is it laying on its back? Just answer the question, Leon.
I think I'm gonna say over his shell.
What if you had to get a drink of water and you're a turtle in the middle of the night? You're gonna have to wrestle all around to get off of your shell? Or are you just gonna reach over with your turtleneck and sip some water out of a, I don't know, what do turtles drink water out of? A bowl? Cup, maybe?
Why does Knives and the Ninja Turtles wear a mask? It's not like we don't know they're a humanoid turtle.
All right, see, that makes no sense. So you don't know that, first off, it was because it was a mask, but second off, because the stupid cartoon, they had to make them different colors for the dumb kids who couldn't tell them apart. But no, originally I think they had them on for just the mask thing. Well, yeah, you're right. But originally they were black and white, and they
Right.
were, you know, a whole different type of sarcasm.
Oh yeah, the original ones. I remember the original ones. They were way darker. They were teenagers.
Have you seen the video? There's a documentary that's fairly recent about it. That's pretty good. A lot of access. They talk to both the creators and get all into it, and all the, you know, they broke up and they hate each other, and then they liked each other for a minute. They got rich, and then all kinds of stuff. So it gets into all that. It gets way more complicated than I keep track of.
Yeah.
What about the documentaries about the comic or about the whole franchise?
Oh no, it's about TMNT. So it starts with they started from, but yeah, because it's more than, you know, just, it's a whole big giant thing at this point. I mean, there's freaking companies and shit involved.
You know?
Well, I don't know.
Renting the ones that were like feature length or whatever before the cartoon. They were like 40 minutes long or something like that. Rented them on VHS from a grocery store when I was in college.
They were fake or what?
No, they were real, but it was before the. I'm pretty sure it predated the actual Saturday morning cartoon version because they were like long form.
You
But
know,
it was
not-
those.
I mean, unless nobody would go to all the trouble of making one back in those days. All it could be was like all the cartoons put together. You know what I mean? It's not like they made a whole one and then didn't.
Yeah, that might be it.
There's a well, see, because it comes there's those shows about toys, and they talk about how, I guess it was Star Wars or He-Man or something. You know, they all kind of took different bites out of it, but you know, they were making toys that were based off of movies, and then somebody figured out, well, if we just make our own commercial, or I mean our own cartoon that the kids watch, that's a commercial for our toy. So they started making cartoons as part of their marketing. So it got all kind of weird there for a minute. But
What about my Ninja Turtle logo? Damn.
that's from the cartoons for sure. And I don't know, that's like I say, I don't get that much into it, but basically the two guys that designed it, one of them was like, yeah, anything that makes money. And the other one was like, not so much. He's like, oh, it has to be authentic or something. And I can't remember which one of them came up. Well, I think one of them left because it didn't just happen one way. Like one of them left first, and that was the guy who was like, oh, no, it needs to be, oh, shit, I don't remember. I think it was the guy who was like, what happened is they did the movie together. They did the comic and it made a bunch of money, right? They made the movie and it made a bunch of money. And then somebody said, let's make the cartoon because we still want to milk some money out of it. And that's when the one guy was like, I got way too much money. I don't need to do all that. I'd rather keep them cool. And the other guy was like, well, I want more money. And so they were like, all right, well then why don't you just pay me and I'll walk away. And that's where the other guy was like, right on, see ya. So they quit being friends. The one guy left with a pile of money, but the other guy turned it into the cartoon where it got all dumb and weird. And then he just like turned it into oodles of money. But then at some point it was too much. Like they were like, there was just too much oodles of money. And they were like, we don't need you around anymore, guy. Like you cost us too much. Like, we can do whatever we want if you're not here. So then Nickelodeon or somebody bought it from them, and then they brought back the first guy who ditched out. And then, of course, later it just kept making so much money that they just brought both of them back to do some sort of remake. And then I think they're both like to where when they need them, they come around and everybody's happy. But when they're not needed, they just go spend money because there's just so much money coming in. I don't think anybody's upset anymore. But anyway, I think that logo that you did was from that era when the cartoons came out. But honestly, as soon as it stopped being like really a weird, grungy, like violent comic, I quit paying attention. I just was aware of it since. And every once in a while, I go, oh, crazy how this old, crazy, violent, weird comic turned into, you know, I'm seeing it at discounts, like $1 thing at Toys R Us because it's already, what do they call it? Jump the shark, and kids don't even want it anymore. And then 10 years later, 5 years later, it's the hottest thing again, except it's a little bit different. And, you know, they caught some other market. Why do you like it? When did you start watching it?
When I was a little kid, like when I would say probably like 1989-ish.
The cartoons, though?
Yeah, the cartoons, and then when the movies came out, I was still a little kid. But yeah, I mean, it was big when I was a little kid, like Batman, you know, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, RoboCop, Terminator, all that was like, it's what you watched as a little kid.
Oh, I think we got there from Cousin Knives. So Knives thing was, I don't know where he got it. I don't think anybody's ever asked him, have they? Or if he's ever told anybody. Have they?
Not anymore, no.
I think you can't just ask someone why they're a turtle. Like, there's probably a law against that.
Well, but I'm saying the one that he's got is a thing where it's who's red? Is that it's the nunchuck guy, I think. It's Michelangelo.
Oh, Raphael.
Yeah, nunchuck guy's yellow, right?
So it is. It's the guy with size. It's Raphael.
Michelangelo.
Oh, you're talking about nunchuck guy is orange. That's Michelangelo. Red is Raphael.
It's Raphael. I remember now that it has a little tiny size stuck in his belt, but it's this big fat Raphael, and he's holding a piece of pizza, and he's going something. He says something like, you can just barely see it at the side of the screen. It's like a little text box coming out of there, and it goes, "Pizza ruined my life," or something like that. And he's eating a piece of pizza, and he's like super fat. So then that one's been around, and that's when Knives started using it as his thing. And then I took that and turned it into a couple of other things based off of other, like there's other ones, but I keep putting Knives version's face on it because there's a whole bunch of fat Ninja Turtles out there. So I just keep grabbing different fat Ninja Turtles and shoving the one that Knives uses, that one's face, onto the other versions I keep finding. But there's like, if you type in Fat Ninja Turtles, there's like a whole thing. There's like a whole pages of Google for that shit.
I will sport 2 for 2A for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original 1980s trading cards if someone can tell me who voiced Shredder. The cartoons.
A rat.
No, wasn't it the guy from Fresh Prince?
As soon as there's a
Angelina Scores.
I can't remember his name though.
His name is James Avery, but you got him.
Look, as soon as there's a free toy, who shows up out of not being awake for the last 2 hours?
Well, but our trading cards are really toys.
Sleeping drugs wear off in time for him to compete for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys.
But yeah, James Avery. He was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was it's somebody. He was on L.A. Law or something, wasn't he?
Actually, I think he was. Yeah, and he was on Hill Street Blues too.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
We're about to get corked.
By what?
At this hour?
Yankee.
In the middle of the night?
Way.
I just got a notification for it.
That's because he's that desperate. So,
Well, he probably bought that fucking car.
Clover's talking about how retro toys or whatever. I don't think it was on that one. It was either on the Toys That Made Us or something similar to the Ninja Turtle one, but it wasn't just about Ninja Turtles. It was about all action figures or something. But I have seen a thing where it just went on and on and on about how those freaking toys are. But that's definitely a thing where first they made the first ones and no one knew what was coming, and then we all bought them. And basically it's because the baby boomers bought them for us, right? They had all the money in the world and there was tons of them. And then they were able to buy dozens of toys for us. So boom, billions of toys got sold, right? So anyway, there was every movie and what's the word? Like every kind of concept had a toy or whatever. And anyway, so those first ones hit, and then of course they only lasted so long. So I forget what it was. I think the Star Trek ones they were showing in this thing, and how maybe it was a thing about Star Trek toys, and it was just so fascinating that they would make them. And it's just kind of like the movies. Some toys would catch on, and then they'd be like, "Crap, these toys were great. Like we couldn't sell enough of them, or couldn't make enough of them. So this next time, let's make more." And then they'd make more, and nobody'd buy one of them. Like they would just sit there dead. They'd lose all the money on them. And then the next time they'd be cautious, boom, they didn't have enough, right? So it was crazy watching the thing about those dang toys. So at some point they figured out, oh yeah, if we make them exactly like what people had when they were kids, that was the gravy. And then a version that's like a $40 version of it with more detail and extra, like the fingers move or some shit, like super dolls. Crazy. And then I over here trying to make my own, because there's that whole thing. People take the old ones and cut them apart with X-Acto knives and glue them back together with different heads and things and kit bash them. And then people make their own ones completely, and then people do all kinds of hybrid stuff. It's definitely, all those people that were into Star Wars figures spawned off into weird, or spinned off into all kinds of weird different hobbies. All right, well,
so there's a certain set of Ninja Turtles that I'm still trying to find. I had a chance to get them at a yard sale. What's that?
You're just talking right over Woods, about to get a free patch. Of course, you felt like, oh, I need to talk over that. I want to see somebody get a free patch.
Yep. Never.
I wasn't talking.
No, bacon. When you didn't hear barbecue, you didn't hear him talking. All right, so Woods gets a free patch because he earned it by coming up with a winning movie, I guess, yesterday. While everybody else is coming up with other movies, Woods came up with the one that everybody on our Patreon can't get enough of. The Wick. So, you got any patch in mind? You got anyone that had a hankering for? I didn't really have a patch panel set up or nothing.
I'll take another Daily Gun Show patch of your choosing.
Sure. So appreciate it, and I'm going to be doing more of that because, like I say, I'm not altogether unconvinced that we're not going to lose our Second Amendment sometime Monday. And if that's the case, it's going to be difficult for us to keep in touch. So I'm going to try to do more things to get ready for that. And then at the same time, if I'm completely off and for some reason we are still able to contact each other, I've got some ideas on how we can enhance all this stuff to a whole nother level. Not the kind of level in a slow creep like a daytime show would have, but in the kind of deliberate, fast, large bites that we take in the nighttime shows. So we're going to take this to a whole nother level with not just the tactical quiz, but also just audience and contestant, what are we called? Participation. Is that a word? Is that a thing? But anyway, I got a couple ideas that from watching Clover and stealing ideas from him, and then coming up with a couple ideas for myself and stealing ideas for myself. And then adding the element of sending things to people in the mail. which, like I say, I don't think there's any daytime gun chat that cares enough about its viewers to send them stuff in the mail. So we'll be able to take it to a whole other level. However long it takes people to get stuff in the mail, a couple of 3 days, 4 days, next week sometime. Let's see. We had Luke and Han in Storm Super Truth long before. Oh, that's a good point. I never thought about doing that. Did anybody else ever do that? For one, I wasn't going to screw with the Han Solo. That was a good one. Luke Skywalker, I would have done it too, but I never even thought about it. Damn, that's a good idea. And all the heads were the same, right? Pop the head out, pop the other head in.
I didn't play with Star Trek toys.
Well, I tell you what, Pink is out there, and I know he'll sometimes jump into what we call this thing, an after chat. Clover, I encourage you to jump into the after chat. Anybody else who feels like jumping into an after chat, there's some stuff I'd like to talk about in case we do lose our internets before next week with the people in here. And anybody who might want to jump into an after chat, it'll still be this link, and I can bring 10 people in. And otherwise, we'll be back to talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Free Patch Friday. It might be the last Free Patch Friday while we have a free internet. If that's the case, I'd appreciate a jump start on the new economy with some purchases. If you know anybody who's interested in 2A and that kind of thing, encourage them to buy stuff that I print over at the store, stuff that I already have over at the store. It'd be awesome. And